I must clear one thing about it, that I have been accused of advising Nira Radia. And you know, and we know, but both are facing cases from her. She has sued both of us, though I have nothing to do with deadlines today at that point of time, and she is suing us. Nobody has heard the tape, it seems. Question is, how can I go and influence the judgment if the sequence of events is known to all of them? Judgment of Bombay High Court came on 15th of June. And she is talking to me on 20th of June. There was no Supreme Court at that point of time. I don't know which journalist has this imagination of coming across that I was speaking about a judgment which is supposed to be coming. I'm going into if somebody reads the full text of my thing, I'm telling her that I'm very angry the way Mukesh and both of us are behaving. Because I was the one who wrote the story about them coming together. They're kind of having some kind of a bifurcation. So I knew both the brothers when they're 15-year-old. The whole thing is about, because when my phone was tapped on 20th of June, and Supreme Court was nowhere in the picture. Nobody knew about Supreme Court judgment will come or not come. How do I employ anything? One judgment has come, second has not even started. How do I influence? I want to know from people who have written the story, have they heard the tape? Did they do the research? Of course, you can object that, okay, all of us have crossed some limit and speaking in a manner which a dictator should not be speaking. And Barkha was honest enough to admit the error of judgment. He was also honest and admit to that they shouldn't have crossed the limit. In my case, I am expressing my anger the way their brothers are behaving. I am saying, दोनों भाई लड़ते हैं, देश बर्बाद हो जाता है. Is that wrong? Am I saying, if you read everything here, they are saying judgment is fixed. Which judgment they are talking about? Because I don't want to get into the merit of the tape at this point, because this is a fractured kind of thing. If the full tape comes, then I will be able to say, because it's going from one place to another, to another, to another. The basic point is, sequence of events must be made clear to the viewers. We are accountable to my viewers and my readers. Judgment of Bombay High Court came on 15th. Mr. Ram is also here, because his business line editor also spoke to her on that point of time. And I'm reading out from the text from there, where she's asking, Nira is asking, Venugopal, see the judgment. Venu, the way it is written, everything, I just see so much familiarity. He laughs. Then Nira says, even language is amazing. To which Mr. Venugopal says, yeah, judges don't write their judgment these days. What does it mean? How does he know? It's the opinion we journalists create. So if you take this statement out of them, then he goes on. Nira says, yeah, but the thing at the end of the day, all of us are going to say that these things are particularly natural resources like this. The point is that they should be fairly optional, whatever. So he's going along with her and expressing his opinion.
Okay.
This is our right of opinion. Opinion cannot be considered advice. I'm just saying that anything which I have done in this case, they are bringing something erroneously there. How do you bring somebody's relation into it? I was talking about that something is fixed. Even the parliament debates are fixed. I knew about that point of time. Now it is coming out, why we didn't write about that? If it is proved that one day before that a parliament member saying that we have fixed the debate, it is on record now, it is proved. So I am talking about general fixation, what is happening in this system, where brothers fight, because why I am talking about Murli Deva will come, where Mr. Shinde will come. So I am basically expressing my anger as an editor to her.
Okay.
And the tone may be different. I am talking about his wife, I am talking about both the wives, I am talking about my history. If that is a mistake, I plead guilty.
Hartosh Singh Bal, you've heard the responses from all the journalists who've been accused by your magazine, who've been accused by Outlook, and who've been accused by a lot of people online, on various social media, of having crossed the journalistic Lakshman Rekha. After having heard their defense, do you find their explanations to be palatable, to be acceptable, or do you believe that these are weak defenses?
Ram, I wish you had told me that I could put questions to Vir. I wish you had let me come in at that time, but let me sum up what my conclusion is on listening to Vir. I think Ram has summed up much of what has been said already. But I also want to point out that you look at the sequence of apologies or clarifications that have been issued by the various characters involved in this drama. Initially, when the correspondences between the CBI and the IT surfaced, both Barkha and Vir tweeted that these are fabricated documents. Then the tapes come out, Barkha claims this is valid journalism. Vir brings out a clarification where he points to the wrong counterpoint. It is when subsequently this is pointed out in the media, it is pointed out how this counterpoint is taken from the transcripts, how the transcripts match what is said in the counterpoint, that a third article appears in the counterpoint, withdrawing counterpoint. As the evidence gets stronger, the defense gets weaker and we have a half apology where Vir is still not admitting to error. He's saying if people perceive this to be an error, I am sorry. That is not an apology. There is misconduct here. There should be an apology for the misconduct. To come to what Prabhu has said, we have not actually carried Prabhu's transcript, but since he has raised the point, let me point out something which is very interesting. Prabhu has a clarification on his website. It relates to the tape which is available on the Outlook website. You go to the point 2 seconds after 2 minutes. I will read out what Prabhu has on his website. He says, "Uske baad maine message nahi bheja. Before the judgment was coming, I wanted to probe on him." The transcript I have, after listening to that conversation repeatedly, in my view, actually says, then he never responded because before the judgment was coming, I wanted to forewarn him. There's a huge difference. Anybody can replay that tape and hear the word for themselves. I am not making the judgment. Is it forewarn or forewarn? If it is forewarn, the reason we didn't carry this transcript was because it would be contempt of court, not because we didn't want to carry this transcript. And you can play this back right now in the studio and judge for yourself again.
Let
Prabhu respond to that.
Yeah, the question is, look at the newspaper what they have got. I agree with you, didn't carry my script because it was not related to 2G at all. Question is probing on what? Judgment has already come. I have been talking to him because there are other things which I was talking to Mukesh Ambani because I was trying to invite his wife also for something else, probing on various other things. I didn't, Bombay judge, court is somewhere, I am in Delhi. You are talking about Bombay High Court judgment. Am I probing on in Bombay High Court? If you mean that, I think you have totally, trying to draw some conclusion which doesn't exist. Somewhere else, Hindu has carried something else. Let me complete. Please, yeah, Bombay judgment.
Forewarn is the word you use.
No, forewarn about something else because what you are doing, Murli Devra, for example, he wrote a letter about it. We are talking about forewarn in the sense of no judgment because Bombay judgment has already come. I was talking to
Your
Prabhu, invited to him about something else.
Because before the judgment was coming, I wanted to forewarn him. Before the judgment was coming, I wanted to forewarn him. This is the statement. You draw your own conclusions. Anybody can listen to this and draw their conclusions. Why listen to Prabhu or me? Go back to the tape and listen.
No, it is in front of me. I have got a transcript in one of what you are saying absolutely right. I am not disputing that fact at all. The question is, what the media has carried, let me go back to, because you are saying what the media has carried, what Hindu has carried, what Telka has carried, they are talking about Supreme Court. Now you have shifted the goalpost from Supreme Court to Bombay High Court. Because you are the first person raising that question.
What is noticeable in my interpretation of your transcript? That is what I am stating.
Let us get out of the way one question. There's what journalists have written about Supreme Court, that is not correct. Let us settle that question first.
I am not talking about other journalists.
I'm coming back to your answer. I'm coming back to your answer.
I'm answering.
I'm coming back to you. I'm trying to reach him 2 weeks before that. That is what he's saying. And forewarn him about what? There's no word judgment.
Because before the judgment was coming,
there's no word about judgment because Bombay High Court has nothing to do. I'm based in Delhi.
I am telling you what is on the transcript.
Because I'm saying the whole. I'm going for the tape because the tape it is the way it has come. I'm not denying what is not my voice. Because there are some breakages in the tape which are not there. So I have been talking to Mukesh and Nira, for example. Let me clarify, please. I'm very clear because
the crucial word in the transcript on your website.
Absolutely right. I put it myself. I was the first journalist to put my own version along with the script on the website. Because nobody bothered to check with me.
Which has a crucial error.
No, it is not. I'm not going to doctor any thing. It is there for everybody to judge.
Okay.
Yeah, let people judge.
Yeah, let people judge.
Okay. You both made your points. I want to bring in Dilip Cherian at this time. He's been listening very intently. Now, our viewers look at Nira Radia and they wonder where this woman came from, how she's so powerful. She seems to be running the country in several senses, fixing judgments, planting stories, deciding who will be minister, keeping somebody out, bringing someone in. Is this just the perception that has gotten created, or is this the way lobbyism is currently functioning in this country?
Let me first tell you that as far as corporate communications people are concerned, they produce only three things. They produce a voice, they produce a volume, and they produce a vision thing.
Sometimes they produce a tape as well.
And sometimes they produce a tape. And as MJ Akbar said very rightly, the parties involved are all involved in also one more exercise, which is grand delusions of complete imagination. Okay, this is the problem, and many of them are also suffering from irrational exuberance. So journalists are saying, "I'll do this, I'll get to this, I'll talk to so and so." Nira is saying, "But you need to tell the Congress party this." Honestly, the fact is that Nira is acting on behalf of two of the country's most powerful industrial houses. They are privy, sadly, to many things which should be confined within the corridors of power. They have access.
May I actually ask, does this delusion therefore create the levels of payment that Nira Radia gets?
I think
that if she did not create this delusion, that I know this, I know that, I can get this done.
Yeah.
And right, I would then get whatever fancy fees that you get.
Precisely.
And no, let's get to the point. I mean, we must be here. Journalists are judge, jury, accused, everything. So, let's get to the point. Out of that, I must at this moment break to say I agree with Enram that our profession lives or dies by levels of credibility and by levels of ethics. So, now let me say that out of the money that you make out of corporates, how much if it goes as quid pro quo?
You know, as far as the question about journalism is concerned, that is the really big ethical issue here, which is the elephant in the room, which nobody is willing to discuss.
We are.
Thank God. And I'm very glad it's happening. Because actually, if any of these journalists have transgressed the line for payment from Nira, then you're talking of a whole different issue. If, on the other hand, they are giving this information for free, while stringing along a source, as it were, then the issue is, how do you treat sources? But I think if money has exchanged hands for information, if stories have been killed or stories have been exaggerated, if lines have been swallowed, hook, line and sinker, and then if money has been paid out.
Is it about how you deal with sources, or does this also involve payment? Does it involve cash? Portions, which I'm sure, since everybody's heard these transcripts. And Raman, I want to put this question to you. When Nira Radia says, "Uski payment rukwa dena," when people are watching, they get very scared. Is it that because when people are watching, they believe that this is a broadcast that is done with full honesty. And suddenly, when people are watching and they believe that the messenger who's supposed to deliver a message to them has been paid by someone, he's on somebody's payrolls, do you believe this is an exception? Do you believe payments could have possibly been made? Or do you believe this is the direction in which journalism is headed? And are you worried by that, sir?
I'm glad you asked me this question, because having come out clearly and hard at what Vir and Barkha have done, I want to make it absolutely clear that I'm not one of those who believes believe that there'll be any monetary transaction. Nobody thinks that Barkha is corrupt. Not at all, although she kept saying it in that pathetic performance, I would say. Let me be frank about it. Nobody believes that. I don't think Open Magazine suggested it. I don't think Outlook, Vinod Mehta for a moment believes that. And we haven't said it about Vir either. By the way, to be fair to Prabhu, I've read the transcript, or the excerpt from the transcript that he has reproduced in his blog. And apart from what Hartosh has asked, I don't think he's any case to answer. I wouldn't bracket him with what has happened in the case of the other two. Because who would go to Prabhu Chavala? We would rather go to Ranjan Bhattacharya than to Prabhu Chavala to pass on a message to the Congress, and there's absolutely no intermediary role that is even hinted at here. And he's giving his opinion, maybe you're not handling it right at the Supreme Court. That's one of the things he says. So I don't think you should have invited him to this discussion, because he has no case to answer.
Well, that's a very important point you're making, Mr. Ram. But from the perspective of the India Today group and from the perspective of Headlines Today, this discussion would have been incomplete if Vir Sanghvi would not have been there. Because Barkha Dutt, for example, if for example, Prabhu Chavala hadn't been there, because we've seen Barkha Dutt tweet. She's come out and she said that what about the other journalists who've been involved? Why are they not being asked questions? Which is why Prabhu is here. He's taken those questions head on to put his case forth. And we're not taking sides. It's for viewers who are watching this to really come to a conclusion on what they believe is correct or not.
Rahul, let me explain, because I admire Ram personally, but I don't know whether it advisory role if he comes to what Ram kind of advising to Sri Lankan government and whatnot. I don't want to get into that question, because all of us in our friendship do a lot of things. But I don't want to get into that. The question is, one should not have any motivation attached to advice or opinion. Unless you have proof. Yes, if you have an